If you're like me and you like cozy, wholesome Christmas movies, Netflix just dropped about 20 of them in the month of November. So I'm going to watch all of them and let you know which ones are worth watching, except for the Tyler Perry one because I don't know him. And I'm going to rate them on a Christmas movie scale and not a regular movie scale because we all know these movies are cliche and predictable, and that's kind of what makes them cozy. Well, the first movie is a very vintage Christmas. And the first movie stars Tia Mowry, who I haven't seen in anything since she did the reality show with her twin sister. She plays Dowdy. I have no idea what that's her name, but she plays Dowdy, who recently moved to Mountain View from the East Coast to open a vintage shop with her best friend. So they're busy getting ready for the grand opening, and it is crucial that this shop is successful because her dad gave her a loan to start the business. So at the beginning of the movie, she's trying to hang a wreath in the front of the store, and a handsome stranger stops to help her put it up. And later, she finds a box of mementos in a drawer of one of the vintage dressers that she has. And she is really hell bent on finding the rightful owner of the box so that she can prove to herself that true love does exist. So while she's on the quest of trying to find a rightful owner for the box of mementos, she does run into the handsome stranger again, and his name is Ed. And they do kind of butt heads at first, but they do end up getting along because he joins on this quest for finding the rightful owner for this box. And he does help her around the shop because he is a contractor. So it's pretty obvious that he does like Dodie, but her guard is up. Doesn't really say why. And you'll have to watch to see how everything works out and if they are able to find the rightful owner of the box of mementos. So with this one, they do have this enemies to lovers, opposites attract type of thing going on, but it's a little too on the nose for me. Like she's really into vintage finds and he's really into modern technology. And they just make this really apparent in the dialogue. Also, the styling is pretty bad as far as like the costume design, hair, and makeup. But it does get better, like, towards the middle of the movie, so I kinda wonder if they just fired all of the hairstylists and makeup artists and just the whole team, or they just never had one at the beginning, because it just really gets increasingly better towards the end. Like, when the movie opens, like, she doesn't really have on any makeup, she kinda looks disheveled to me. And I absolutely hate that red coat. But, like, towards the end, like, especially, like, the ending scene, she looks really, really pretty, and everything just looks really put together, like, everyone just looks really put together, and the ending scene. So, I also do like the plot, but there should have been more interesting keepsakes to make me care more about them finding the rightful owner of the box because honestly, it just seems like what they found in the box was just to move the plot forward. I know when you have keepsakes, it doesn't have value, like as far as monetarily usually, but I don't know. It just seems like what was in the box was kind of boring. So however, something does happen towards the middle of the movie that really does take it up a notch and kind of helps me kind of get past the fact that the items in the box are pretty boring. So I will say around the 45-minute mark, the movie does start to get better and more interesting. I wasn't really liking Ed at the beginning of the movie, but he does start to grow on me. So in short, it started out rough, but got better towards the middle. Low budget feel to it, but the acting and the setting were pretty good. So I give this one a 6 out of 10. The next movie is A Merry Little Christmas. So this one definitely had a bigger budget. It does star Kelly Rowland, who plays Jackie, the owner of a tech company that she's trying to sell. She also just got a big offer to hit the tech division of a company, and they want to have a camera crew capture her with her family during the holidays to make sure she's a good fit for the company. So this is perfect timing because she just finished decorating her new home and convinces her mom to let her host Christmas that year. Her parents and two sisters come 3 days before Christmas with their kids and dog in tow. So Jackie is obviously like a type A personality, and her sisters have some baby kids doing cartwheels in the house, riding a scooter, and constantly making messes. Like they really need to be taught some home training. So of course, what can go wrong does go wrong. Like everything goes wrong with the kids and the dog, and Jackie's type A personality just kicks into high gear. So in the middle of all the chaos, Jackie does meet her neighbor Tyler. They do get off on the wrong foot, of course, but then continue to run into each other, of course, and their attraction grows. So the film crew for the company comes to capture the family, and of course, everything goes wrong. But in the end, everything does work out, and Jackie realizes that she doesn't have to be so perfect and uptight, and she should appreciate having her family around. So for me, this one was really boring. You could play it on mute and still be able to figure out what's going on in the movie. This movie, you can just play in the background because it looks really Christmassy and it's like super bright and it does have that Christmas vibe to it. And I do really like the music too, so it is really cute. I also did like Tyler and how his laid back personality complemented Jackie's high strung personality. And her sister Kiara was also pretty fun to watch. But like I said, there wasn't that much going on. Kind of a background movie to play during Christmas. I gave this one a 4 out of 10. So the next one is Happy Christmas. This movie stars Anna Kendrick as Jenny. Jenny just broke up with her boyfriend, so she moves to Chicago to go live with her brother in his basement. So her first night there, she does leave with her friend to go to a party, and then she gets blackout drunk to where her friend has to call her brother to come pick her up because she's literally like passed out. Jenny was supposed to be there to help his wife around the house and with their baby, but his wife doesn't really trust her anymore after that night. She just seems like really irresponsible, and she doesn't want to have her babysit the baby when she needed her to. So she does have a male friend babysit the next day, and Jenny starts hanging out with him and also starts building a relationship with the wife, encouraging her to continue write. So even though she's a stay-at-home mom, she does talk about how she used to write and how she misses writing. So yeah, Jenny does encourage her to continue writing. For me, this movie was super lame. I already knew that it was made in the middle of the 2010s because these shows and movies from this time frame with women in their 20s being irresponsible, getting drunk, and sleeping with losers were pretty popular at this time. The movie looks like it was shot from a handheld camera, and I hated the really tight shots, and it had like this grainy look to it. Like I literally thought something was wrong with my phone. I had to like leave out of the movie, and then go look at a different movie just to see if I was crazy or not. Yeah, it just had this weird grainy look to it. It was too much of a stark contrast from the Bright movie that I had just watched with Kelly Rowland, and it just felt really depressing, like, just the look of it and the lighting and the color grading, it just felt depressing. And the plot was so boring, like, nothing really happened. It was just a lot of people just talking and just having a conversation. Like, honestly, they could have followed any random person around and made a story that was just as compelling. So all they do the whole movie is chat, and nothing remotely interesting happens until literally the last 15 minutes, and it's really still not that interesting. Oh, yeah, and Lena Dunham is her friend in the movie, so definitely skip it. 1 out of 10. Okay, so now we have a holiday engagement. So in this movie, Hillary is a news reporter who is engaged to a lawyer named Jason. So she plans on bringing Jason to meet her family for Thanksgiving, and she's pretty anxious about it because her mom has been on her about getting married. So while on assignment for a newspaper, she meets an out of work actor working as one of those people who dress up on the corner, like in a costume and like swing a sign around to get you going to the store. Is there an actual title for this job? I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about. So during the assignment, she finds out that the newspaper is shutting down, and later Jason breaks up with her because she wasn't excited about his promotion that was out of state, and she wasn't really wanting to move out of state. So Hillary is really concerned about showing up all alone for the holidays with her family. So her friend convinces her to put out some sort of ad on a dating site, I guess, to ask a guy to pretend to be Jason for the weekend. And of course, the out of work actor from earlier named David answers that. So they show up for the weekend and proceed to fool their family into thinking David is her fiance Jason. So this movie is one of my most hated tropes where rich man bad, poor man good. I absolutely hate this trope. And then we've also seen a movie where one person needs the other person to pretend to be their significant other. But honestly, the hijinks is always fun to watch. So yes, it was predictable, but it was still fun to watch. I do love the warm coziness of this movie. The dialogue and acting weren't too bad, and the story did keep me interested. So half of the movie it is set during Thanksgiving, but there are some Christmas elements in the second half. I actually did enjoy this one, so I gave this one a 7 out of 10. So the last movie for my part 1 and watching all of my movies or all the movies that Netflix dropped in November, all the Christmas movies, is Christmas in the Heartland. So this movie does focus on two teenage girls from Vermont who are both going to visit their grandparents in Oklahoma whom they have never met before. They're two separate teenagers and they're both going separately to meet their own grandparents in Oklahoma, if that makes sense. So Kara is being raised by her dad and she is from an upper class background. And Jessie lives with her aunts and cousins and comes from a lower income background. So the girls meet on the plane on their way to visit their grandparents. They discover that they have a lot in common, such as both of them losing their mothers. They decide that it would be fun to switch places since their grandparents don't know what they look like, which is honestly weird because you've never seen a picture of your grandkids. I digress, but Kara get a more down to earth Christmas, and Jessie will get to live like a princess, in her words. This movie had a more general trope similar to the previous movie. So it's rich people bad, poor people good. Like Hollywood really wants us to be content with being poor. Interesting. So despite that, I felt like this was a fun twist on the Parent Trap part, but they could have done a lot more with it. Of course, the girls have to get switched back, and when they do, it was pretty anticlimactic. I expected more, like more hijinks. Um, However, there is another big reveal that I personally didn't expect, and it was pretty fun, but how things played out was super weird and kind of confusing. And I was just kinda over the movie at that point, so I gave this one a 5 out of 10. Worth watching, but yeah, once you get to the part where they discovered that, they had switched kids, it is kind of anticlimactic, so yeah, 5 out of 10. So those were 5 of the movies that dropped on Netflix in November, so join me next time so I can rate 5 more of them. And thanks so much for watching. Bye.